So this is what I managed to find in a little sort of deserted bit at the side of a house in a really nice bit of Manchester. This is a Triumph Herald. This is a 1971 version on a J plate. It's the convertible, and I'm pretty certain that this is the 1360, so a little 1.3 litre. They did these initially with a 948cc back in the late 50s, and then they managed to squish a 1.6 and a 2 litre in, and then towards the end these convertibles had a 1.3. It's in a really sorry state. It's obviously been outside for a really long time, which is very, very sad. It looks like it might have been restored at some stage, but then it's obviously been left to completely deteriorate. If it was a restoration, it's an old one. The interior does look reasonable, considering it's outdoors with a massive hole in the roof. The wood is okay, and the dials and the radio are not at all bad. This was a rival for the Mini and the Anglia when it was new in the late 50s, albeit initially this was launched as a little tiny coupe version. But a Mini back then was £500, and Anglia was £600, and this Triumph was £700. So you're paying for a bit better engineering and a sportier sort of car, and as a consequence, Standard Triumph kind of gave it this sort of premium brand by making it specifically a Triumph like the TR3 at that time. But by 1970, 1971, this was starting to look a bit old, and it went out of production. 72. John Lennon had one. It was his first car, and a lot of people used to use them to learn in. They were probably perceived to be a pretty tough little vehicle. So it's really quite a shame that nowadays it's in this kind of condition. I don't think it's even a restoration candidate. It looks too far gone. It wouldn't be worthwhile, and even in a much better condition, you'd only be looking at about £2,000 for a restoration candidate Herald, and they'd probably only be worth about £10,000 more than that in a really great condition. And as you can see, the sills are completely gone. There are lots of parts that it could yield up to be used for something else, but the likelihood of it ever making it back on the road looks really slim. All the sides were corroded. The bumpers, every part of it was pretty much destroyed. So that was where we were with the Triumph Herald. I imagine that by the time this video even makes it online, it will have been destroyed and gone to the scrap heap in the sky. In fact, it might not even be there now in the few days since I went to have a look at it. But it looked so complete and so sort of interesting that I kind of had to share it with you. So there we are.